what's amazing, I face it to a lesser degree, and I'm not even sure how organic or authentic it is. When people say you come out and you said things that are a betrayal to your audience. I'm like, first of all, my audience listens to me because I say what I honestly and sincerely believe, and I have that audience because they come to hear what I say. If I wanted to be captured by anybody, there's no difference between audience capture, sponsor capture, and censorship capture. And if anybody thinks that they're going to say, well, I used to follow you, but now you're saying things I don't like, and you're betraying your audience, so you better shut up or say what I want you to say. Well, thanks. I didn't want any form of capture in the first place, and that's why you're here, because there is.
I'm about to say, I turned out $50 million a year for the Democrat Party 7 years ago before they came after me, but not sell out. So I sure as hell ain't going to sell out because you unfollow me. Plus, the way my brain works, that yours is the same. I'm so into logic, so into what I really believe the truth is, trying to figure it out like a puzzle or like a bird dog trying to get a bird, that it's just instinctive. It's like I couldn't even imagine having to gauge what I did and worry about it and then see what I thought was most popular and go that way. That's stagnancy. A leader does what they think is right, even when it's unpopular, to lead people out of it.
I had an experience today where I forget who the leftist rag journalist was, and he puts out some pithy tweet that says, I thought DC was safe. What happened, Trump? And I respond to him, I said, hey, DC is still exponentially safer now than it was under Biden. What happened here is a lefty lunatic decided to come in from California bearing to wreak havoc. And then a response to my tweet is, go back. What bothers me, it doesn't bother me that someone doesn't like what I have to say.
They never intellectually respond to the logical discussion. They just jump to some other gotcha.
Well, yes, but typically that stupid jackass of a response came from the left. It came from when I would criticize Kamala Harris.
I'm seeing pro-Trump, white-pilled, neocon, never-Trumper people. They hit me with Sandy Hook now and Democrat talking points.
Yeah, I know. They hit you with, oh, hey, have you paid off your $1 billion judgment yet? To which one would respond, has Trump paid off the $485 million in justice that came out of New York, or the $80 million in justice that came from E. Jean Carroll? Like, this is what pisses me off. It's not that I might lose a subscriber, a follower. I don't give a sweet bugger all. I was doing this with nothing back in the day and was doing it out of the passion. What bothers me is seeing people who I thought were on the side of reason, rational thought, open discourse, open dialogue, First Amendment constitutional rights, acting like the exact same buffoons that the left were acting like back under Biden.
And that's because they're getting talking points. It's a Politico. So let's shift gears into that, and I want to get into the war. I want to get into the kill switches in all the cars, not just here, but all over the modern world, where that's going as the public awakens. But obviously, we're closing Thursday. But there's a miracle. There is a hearing. They've obviously gotten word at the Onion, funded by Bloomberg. That's the case. All this is going on. We'll have the Alex Jones Network kick on the next day. People can find all that, obviously, all the sites and on X and everywhere else. But you followed my case quite a bit. You obviously co-host with one of the lawyers that worked on it, so you know it even better than I do from a legal part of law. But just looking at what they've done and knowing that the CIA and FBI is on record behind it, funding it, and then having Trump come out and say in his post, yeah, you're the bad Sandy Hook guy, your brain's fried, you owe $1.5 billion, you're a joke, when the same Paul Weiss law firm quarterbacked all this, that settled with him for $40 million and admitted they engaged in illegal activity, and they settled for $40 million in public service, and they wrote off last year part of their public service suing me. So they're writing off public service for $40 million. Part of it is suing me, and Trump has literally wheeled the Paul Weiss law firm with his Democrat Party lawyer on the south end of the DOJ in ABC News saying, yeah, Alex Jones is a crackpot, and killing Ed Martin's investigation into their weaponization against me, which is open and shut.
Alex, the old expression, the song, you always hurt the ones you love, or familiarity breeds contempt. And again, this is not destructive criticism against Trump. This is constructive criticism. It's disappointing to see anybody use the lawfare that was done against you, but especially someone who is the victim of the very same type of lawfare, who's still the victim of it, using it as though it was somehow righteous and legitimate against you.
He has the same tire tracks and the same law firm over him. So he's using the same tactics. He's siding with the very group.
I would say take it as flattery that he was so offended by your criticism that this is how he had to respond. And people are human. People act out of ego. People act, rashly. And you hope that I I still hope that Trump comes back and makes amends with Margaret Taylor Greene, with Thomas Madison.
I do too. I'd love to salvage him if there's any chance.
Well, I say touch wood. That's the way success will be reached. That's the way populist invigoration come midterms will be reached.
By the way, and notice all the polls show it. His attacking his original base is disastrous.
Well, people just can disregard the polls depending on who they come from, and they're going to go back to that CNN poll with 100% support what he's doing now, as if CNN, which is fake news, is coming out with suddenly accurate news when it comes to bogus polls that nobody believes.
By the way, and the first tweet attacking me, or True Social, it's crazy. He goes, oh, remember fake CNN, and later he endorses CNN in the poll.
Well, that's where, you know, and I said this when I was on Patrick Bet David, where it's like, you know, I read that post, and I just read it as a lawyer, as a student of philosophy, from a logic perspective. In one of the same posts, you can't say CNN is fake news, and also CNN gives me 100% approval rating. And so, to the extent they do that, and I believe they are fake, if you view that approval rating, 100%, as sabotage, you will certainly digest that bull crap poll from CNN accordingly. But it is, you get insulted and people
Let's go back to this because as a legal mind, you read that, either the person's crazy and has dementia, or they think you're an idiot, like it's like a sick joke. CNN's totally fake, nothing they say is true. By the way, they say I'm totally popular and I'm 100%, I mean,
I'm not taking this from my ass because you don't only see bad logic among people with dementia. So, you know, people often employ bad logic, inconsistent thought, inconsistent reasoning, even in one of the same posts. It's the purpose of debate.
I said on one of those review sites, I got food poisoning at this place. It's absolutely horrible. The food's crap. The service is terrible. By the way, it's the best restaurant in the world, and I'm going to go in there tomorrow.
Yeah, someone would say you're being paid to say that. No, the bottom line, they are mutually incompatible, illogical statements to make in one and the same statement. It's the power of debate where you can flesh it out. You know, and again, I hope to sensitize the administration to the fact that CNN is fake news. Maybe CNN is now saying it's 100% because they're like trying to buy into the good graces of Trump after their whatever merger's coming up in the future. But the bottom line, it's a mutually incompatible statement to make in one and the same statement. And then the question is you have to look at it accordingly, and maybe, just maybe, CNN doesn't have Trump's best interest in their mind, and maybe, just maybe, them putting out that bogus poll that nobody believes except for the most siloed sycophants. Maybe they're doing it for their own political
And it was only done because the corporation that owns it is pro-Israel and are Likud-niks and want war. 100% believe in your war.
Why should I say it again?
More than half is totally pissed off and even freaked out. So, you know, to me, the logic here is very, very simple. Even Colorado Trevor has been closed 58, 59 days in. Internally, they admit it's a total disaster. Should I have just gone along and said, yeah, let Trump go into a disaster? I mean, you would think he would wake up by now.
But you would do that only if you wanted to be an intellectual seller or someone who wants to ensure access. And those are the cast of people who have been the cheerleaders since this went down. And you see how it aids. They can never be wrong. It's not a war. It's just strategic strikes. Okay, it's a war, but it won't be a prolonged war. Oh, it's not a new war because this war's been going on for 47 years. They can never admit that, okay, we made a mistake and now we have to reassess. It's the continual movement.
And Trump declared victory 30 times. He said we've had regime change like 15 times. He says the Strait of Hormuz open 11 times.
It wasn't supposed to be regime change. It was not supposed to be regime change. You know, that was what that. And then people say, no, you're wrong. This is what you voted for because you didn't listen to the Barbara Walters interview from 1987. So,
well, I'm not saying Trump has dementia, but he definitely sounds delusional now. Just saying one day, I don't need the Strait. They can figure it out. Next day, open the epic Strait. We've got to open it. I mean, he's just all over there. Now, well, I killed their leadership, so that's regime change, though the regime's still there. I mean, it's like...
Well, Alex, you had the same people celebrating that the straits were closed. All of these tankers and sea were coming to America to get crude oil. And then, when people were saying, well, that's going to jack up prices here, they're going to say, well, that's the short-term pain for the long-term gain. That was one talking point. And then when the straits were announced open, the same Friday of that week, then they're like, hurrah, success, the straits are open. The same people who said the success, the straits are closed, are now cheerleading hooray, the straits are open.
Blockaded it again because they blocked it, so we can say he blocked it, and they went, yay, more 10D checks.
Well, the bottom line is, you know, if you are intellectually consistent and you fear any form of God. You're going to be true to yourself, and you're going to be true to others, and you're going to say what you feel is right and righteous and well justified under the circumstances, however unpopular it is.
I just know watching the flip-flopping makes me feel insane. I mean,
it feels like gaslighting a little bit, but it's war, and so things are tumultuous.
The first casualty of war is the truth. So, CIA declassified documents last week, Operation Artichoke to poison vaccines, food supply, and the water to dumb us down to make us controllable. Now new documents about ESP control, how we're really electrochemical systems, liquid crystals, and the pineal gland, and how most people have microscopic to actual large worm infestations, not just from cats, you name it, like Kennedy has one in his brain, and they didn't tell the public most cancer, breast cancer, brain cancer is worms. Ladies and gentlemen, you can look it up. Go to the UN's own website. They admit it. Over 2 billion people have cognitive disabilities because they do not have enough iodine. In the 20s, they found this. That's where it put in the salt. IQs went up about 20 points on average, 15, 20 points. Well, we have the very best atomic iodine in the world. Has been available in several years, ladies and gentlemen. But we have the original X2 back, but even stronger. Pure atomic. Atomic isn't radioactive. It means it's on the periodic table. It is absolutely pure. And I mixed that with ultra methylene blue that is also on record good for your pineal gland and reversing the calcification and the rest of it. Well, we've got the best methylene blue, and I just mixed the iodine with the methylene blue with this water. I'm going to drink this, and this is pure rocket fuel. So good for your body. Essential iodine with methylene blue together is amazing. Pretty scary looking, too. So, by the way, the new product is supposed to be available right now at thealexjonestore.com is T3. It's X2 back even better at thealexjonestore.com. So for all the fans that wanted it, everybody that wanted to get it, we have had it for over a year. It is back, reborn, like the Phoenix, even stronger, exclusively available through our sponsor, thealexjonestore.com. But regardless, our methylene blue, our iodine is the best, and it does so many other things, libido, stamina, energy, and they go together like a horse and carriage. Get them both now. There's also another big sale as well at thealexjonestore.com, and I thank you for your support.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
This is a short segment, so I want to be selfish here and ask his legal views, not legal advice on something. I want to get into the good news, how big an awakening there is on so many subjects like the kill switches in cars that have been there under law for 5 years, and the systems have been there longer than that, but now they're codifying it with Viva Fry. But back to my case, I know you cover it all the time, which I appreciate, because it's so historic. There's all sorts of, my lawyers are telling me, where when people say we're taking something over to destroy its brand and hurt a person, there's all sorts of laws on that. So when I say we're gone Thursday, that's just because the receiver's turning off the power of the lights, but they've done that before. So, but they're so reckless. I don't know if you followed all the craziness. They're going to wear my skin, all of this. It's just so wild-eyed. What advice or like views you have on this? Because it's a big deal. And we've survived so many of these attacks. People think it's like Chicken Little. No, you know the law. You follow the case. This is 100% real. But we've been through this, and now one part of me kind of wants to get shut down, and I'm still fighting hard because I want to show people how real it is, Viva.
It is. Look, Alex, I was in Texas for I put it in quotes, trial, but the trial was only on the quantum because you had been defaulted into liability. I don't know if it's inevitable. It looks like it's inevitable at this point, but let them have it. I mean, they'll have it. They'll turn InfoWars into what the team over at Project Veritas turned Project Veritas into. They don't understand. They think it's going to be funny that they're going to use it to try to destroy your legacy by turning InfoWars into the Onion, which
they tell the New York Times we're going to confuse people and tell lies to hurt him. I mean, my lawyers are like, this is guaranteed lawsuit victory, though. I mean, they're.
Well, that's the issue. Separate causes of action here. Like under the Bankruptcy Act, they'll sell off your assets. The malicious degradation of value is a separate issue, but what they're certainly going to argue is that it's not malicious degradation of value. They are now going to try to maximize value for the new stakeholders, which are actually not your audience. But the bottom line is, it will fade into nothing. They will have stolen your property, squandered it, destroyed it, and you're going to go start whatever it's going to be, the real shows, and you are going to pull a James O'Keefe with your platform. Nobody tuned into InfoWars Well, because it was an inclusive persona platform called InfoWars, but it was separate causes of action like deliberate impersonation, malicious impersonation. I don't know what statutes there would be in Texas or in America, more broadly, but they're announcing their malicious intent to destroy your reputation.
Legal aid the last few days. I'm trying to remember. They said it's pretty much open and shut. They're in for a real treat. I mean, I get that they're going to deep six it. They admit that we'll probably have a 6-month run where we run around. And that's their mission. I have to fight to the end because they're trying to set the precedent for me for everybody else. But they're in for some real treats. Saying we want to destroy him, we want to wear his skin, we want to confuse his audience.
Well, it's what they wanted your likeness for, so that they can put out messages in your voice, in your face, to confuse the general public. And to me, I don't know what impersonation laws could apply. Unlawful impersonations, malicious, but let them keep talking because the pride goeth before the fall, and they are sufficiently haughty and sufficiently gifted that they have the system on their side. Let them keep talking. I'm surprised to see what happens in the bankruptcy, but I think it's inevitable. You're going to start up a new project. It's going to be under your name, and people are going to flock to you.
There's a new news site, and the app, has the feeds. AlexJonesApp.com on Android and all that for free. And majority, the new owners, I'm going to work for as a news director, so they can't shut me down. I work there.
And all your old content is copyright free in any event, or it's public domain in any event. So they're not going to be able to make money off of that, I don't think. But if
contracts on the site, still saying this is all free to air, no exclusive license belongs to the earth. It's like I can publish a book and say no copyright, and it's gone, it's free. And I did that because I had to constantly sign documents every week for Access TV, local TV radio stations, want to air my films or air my shows. I don't want to air it here or there. They want to sign a contract to air syndication. So I was constantly signing contracts to be able to air it, and so I had lawyers writing things up that was just a general form. They are so screwed because of that. I mean, they got a big problem. We'll be right back in 60 seconds. Coming up in just the next month or so, it looks like this is finally able to shut down InfoWars. What they won't shut you down is InfoWarriors, and that term and that name lives forever. The InfoWar lives forever. Since its twilight, InfoWars itself is Infowars.com. We launched a limited edition line of the InfoWars 1776 limited edition line. A whole bunch of new shirts, a whole bunch of new hats that are limited edition. We take a lot of the classic InfoWars shirts, an all-time bestseller, navy blue with red InfoWars on it, and adding on the shoulder 1776. These are historic shirts, and they're symbols of your support and your being part of this operation and help the operation grow and expand into the future. So take action now at AlexJones.com and look at these two new amazing models.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWars.
All right, after Bill leaves us, I'm going to get into the Lone Star Tech. You're going to get the full story here. Which I was like, I got the full story. I'm super smart. I mean, we're all being hit by this. The public needs to get to the bottom of the rabbit hole. And I see everybody else reporting on it. It's really huge now, thank God. But people don't get the full story about how it's made in the lab and released. And the larger plan is obviously meat allergies. You can't eat beef. Now they admit that's the plan. Now then Bill Gates has been caught spreading around the country doing open-air research with the text. I mean, so he can make us eat his lab-grown meat. It is totally insane. But I wanted to go to Neva Fry, really great political and legal mind, about AI tracking systems in the cars, cameras that watch you, behavioral systems, bylaws. 5 years ago they passed in the U.S. that by this year all the car companies have put in, from all my sources and research that's come out, for over a decade, any fancy car already has this. The driver assist, safety stuff. I've been driving before looking down too much, and it'll start beep, 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 saying, hey, are you tired? Are you tired? And then now they're saying it'll just take over and pull you to the side of the road. Danny has a Korean-made car, and it does it to him all the time if he's looking down and stuff. They'll also now know if you have a cell phone in your hand, like, hey, you're not supposed to do that. It's not like you're driving around your neighborhood, so you don't put your seatbelt on, so it's like bing, 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 bing. These new things know you put the seatbelt behind you because you're riding around the ranch or something, and it's still plugged in. It tells you and it knows that. It's smart. It's hooked in, and they admit this with the new Meta glasses and other things. It all goes back. It's flagged by humans that are watching it. So you got dudes with Google goggles and now Meta glasses. There's one example that Wire Magazine talked about, and they're watching somebody rail their girlfriend alive, and they're all sitting back just watching it, enjoying themselves, because it flags it, goes, sex is being recorded, this could be illegal, so that it flags it, now humans are watching it. I mean, this is a nightmare Pandora's box. We know 15 years ago, Alexa's listening to you, phones, Siri, all that, but people never listen to it, like, oh yeah, it's listening to me. Yeah, that's how you prompt it's listening. Now I see this huge awakening in Congress. I see it trending. People are talking about it to be on the street. So that's a whole other story here that finally people are getting it because they said, oh, if you've been drinking or tired, you can't drive. They don't care they're being surveilled, but hey, you don't take my car away from me. Well, the whole plan with driverless cars is to say they're 10, 15, 20 times safer, put insurance on human drivers and phase out humans. That's the plan. So how do we, big rant here. Let's get into it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was the whole issue about why they're allowing foreigners, illegal aliens, who barely speak English to drive freaking 18-wheeler trucks. And there's a theory, call it a conspiracy theory, that the reason is to create sufficient chaos that the reaction from the government is to regulate and automate. And now,
You're totally right. I played the clip a month ago. California, you name it. They pull over a black African lady. She doesn't know how to start it and doesn't even know how to turn the lights on. And the cop says, go ahead and go. And she drives off with the lights off into the dark in an 18-wheeler.
Ugh.
the Indian guys, and I'm not trying to pick on any particular race, I'm sure there's a few Russians and Eastern Europeans who also can't read road signs, but the videos that we've seen, these Indian from India drivers can't read the road signs. And then you have them going over the bridge. I think it was in Michigan, but I might be wrong on the state. Presumably because they don't realize the weight capacity of the bridge, crush the bridge. It happens in Canada. And
they don't know about high wheels. They don't know. They think you can go down an interstate highway at 80 and turn on the highway and go back the wrong direction. Have you seen those videos?
I've seen it in real life in Florida. On the 441, I see an 18-wheeler crossing 4 lanes of highway to get onto the other side, the northbound highway. Like, this is insanity. Like, it's not just that I have to watch a Pontiac.
They do that. They turn around on your highway and come back at you.
And it's also the amazing point. When you worry about your own insurance, I got a big rocker, and I know it's 7 feet of clearance, so I'm not going into anything that's 6'9". But I used to live in Canada. There was a bridge. It's like people and some of these drivers, maybe local as well, but don't pay attention to these things. But the problem is you have a government which opened the borders to everything, illegals, no vetting whatsoever.
And it turns out that investigation in California, Minnesota, they don't even have to go to the driver's school. They just give them the commercial license.
Alex, it's because A, it's not their children, but also you create a sufficiently big problem, and then the reaction or the action, the solution becomes the people who caused it in the first place. But if you are operating on the basis that the end goal is full automation, what would you be doing differently? Or the end goal is full control. You know, the speeding tickets will be automatically issued, sent to your house. There's going to be CCTV cameras on every street corner, and if they determine that you are inebriated, if you're drunk, you should get pulled over anyhow. But it starts off with the obvious, like, okay, breathalyzers. Who would disagree with that? Then it's going to go to, well, distracted driving. Who would disagree with that? What will happen, God forbid, I don't think we're going to get there, but you'll have situations where someone's driving with their car because of an emergency, health emergency. The car will get disabled, they'll die in the car, and then we're going to say, oh shit, the solution that we proposed is actually more dangerous than the problem we thought we were solving. But it's ironically enough, and the games don't have to come full circle for where we work. Who are the most vocal politicians voicing their concerns to this whole state, sanctioned tyranny? You know their names, and they are the ones who, for whatever the reason, have become persona non grata among the party that they were once upon a time the most loyal representatives of. So you got Massey, you got, I won't say Boebert, sounding the alarm. I'm fairly certain Marjorie Taylor Greene at one point was sounding the alarm as well. But this is one step towards minority report level control at the macro, micro, minuscule level of human existence. The government wants to control you. They want to regulate your every movement. And lo and behold, if it's in every car and they determine you have outstanding warrants or whatever, that car will And then it's going to be, oh, you didn't pay your taxes because we've got AI reading your emails now. You didn't pay your taxes? We're going to pull over
This is the
your
social credit score which they admit it's designed. China has it out the elephant. We've got it just as bad as Italy. And I see this is coming out. Don't we need to have countries repeal this crap right now?
You need to have Declaration of Human Rights to privacy, and they've got to mean something. Because right now what we're getting to is full surveillance. I'm of, people freak out about the real ID, and I'm like, well, every time I come into America, they take my biometrics, and I sort of resigned to that. But you understand exactly where they're going, and I had a mild, red pill suppository last night during my show with Robert Barnes, where he says, have you noticed that AI is reading your emails? I'm like, no, I haven't noticed that. And then I go, and I can see that there's an AI summary for every email in my emails. I mean, setting aside that, you got dudes in India.
By the way, you didn't ask for that.
I didn't ask for that, and also, I'm not practicing as an attorney anymore, but if I were, I don't understand how that's not a breach of solicitor-client privilege that could land a lawyer in jail.
So they're just, it's a bum rush. That's what I was told by a high-level guy that works. I'm not going to say the company, but it's a big cost. And he said, you have to understand, the government has just told driverless car companies who are like you, they have some sort of level. All the new cars are already driverless. They all, not just Tesla, not just, they already have it as the driver assist. And they're using it for AI learning, not just how cars drive, but they're listening and scooping. The best place to get us is in our car. They get our phone, they're grabbing all that data. It's like a smart meter. Remember, it came out decades ago, the smart meters are spying on all your electronics in your house. They're just grabbing it all to train the AI. And then they need, millions of football field-sized computer systems just to run it all. And the AI gets unlimited power and unlimited water and 50 million gallons in North Texas with big nothing. I mean, this is hellishly dystopic.
And also, if you understand that when Bill Gates, when people say he's buying it all the farmland, he might not be buying it up for farming people. He might be buying it up for energy sources and knows what land is going to be the easiest to convert into that, which might pose its own problems. But no, Alex, there will be a revolution, and a peaceful technological revolution that people are going to get up in arms about what is total state control at the microscopic level of human existence. And America's got a Capital C Constitution. They're going to have to start appreciating what that means, what it guarantees, and what it outright prohibits.
Well said. I got to go. In closing, what are the white pillars that the Trump supporters that say you must support anything he says, anything bad, you must just shut up? What are they going to do? We don't, of course, correct for 6.5 months. All the numbers are in from trust and pollsters that are pro-Trump. Damn it. They're not just going to lose 30, 40 seats in the House. They're going to lose the Senate, and then they're going to turn around and try to impeach Trump. It is going to be horrible. What are they going to do when all their delusions come crashing in? And is there any way to reach out to them and resuscitate them, help us put pressure on Trump? Because we're moving Trump back in many ways. People can be done with Trump all they want. You should still put pressure on administration. Like if Democrats did, I'll put pressure on them not to do bad stuff. But this idea that, well, we're not with Trump anymore, they say, because we question things, so we can't still comment on it or put pressure on it. No, this is important. But what happens when we lose the midterms? What happens to these delusional people?
Unfortunately, they're more likely going to blame the people who are raising the red flags than the people who are carrying out the acts that provoke people raising the red flags. So, has it gotten bad enough yet? When the consequences come in, and if they are as dire as some are predicting, there'll either be a forced introspection and hopefully a course correction for 2028. There's still time for course correction now. And so, God willing, touch wood, may that happen. But I think it's Ayn Rand that said it, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. And we are fast approaching the consequences of ignoring reality and writing everybody off with all sorts of names because they've been raising the alarm, raising the flags, and righteous ones. But you just take your breath and pray that things will work and that any damage will be minimized or mitigated come midterms. And if not,
and say that Ayn Rand quote again. That is so true and beautiful. You can ignore reality without the consequences. That means you can be on 10 hits of acid on a 50-story building and think you're going to fly. You may think while you're falling, you're flying, but you're going to be dead at the bottom.
You can ignore the fact that the company's not profitable, and then you can't ignore when the trustee comes in type thing. It's the analogy of life. You can close your eyes. You can pretend it's not happening. You can pretend 100% approval rating. You can't ignore the consequences of denying that reality when they come home.
And let me raise this in final closing, because I've seen you talk about it, because you see the same stuff I do, and it's tear my hair out because that's why there's none left. Because it's just, I care about them having logic. I want to teach people, and then I want to learn from people that are smarter than me. That's, I just get off on it, and they think I'm with some agenda. Yeah, it's called freedom and justice. That makes me feel good at a cellular level. That's what drives me everywhere. Candace Owens and Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, and all these people, and they are going to, they're inconsequential, pathetic kooks no one listens to, but you're going to lose us the midterms. And I'm like, in the same statement that was a talking point, you saw it everywhere. It's like, that's oxymoronic. Like, what are you talking about? Obviously, we're being attacked because we're influential. Jesus.
It's oxymoronic, but it's also, it's self-destructive. The easier way, I say, the more productive way is to incorporate the criticism and discuss it, flesh it out. I would love to see some people I would not necessarily entertain discussions with because they wouldn't be productive. I don't lump everybody in that circle in the same circle. They do so that they can avoid having to have discussions with the likes of you, the likes of Megyn Kelly, the likes of Tucker Carlson, and they can pretend that you're irrelevant. Okay, you can deny reality, but you can't deny the consequences of ignoring reality. And the reality is, you are not telling people what to think. You are not causing people what to think. To some extent, you are the receptacle and the disseminator of what people are already thinking, and you can't deny that, and you can't browbeat people into submission. Because the people who are, I don't believe that many people are actually going to go vote Democrat who are Trump supporters, but you're not going to motivate them to come out and vote by browbeating them or trying to browbeat them into submission. You got to convince them. You got to invigorate them. And the way you do that, if it means prematurely declaring war or end of hostilities, get back to domestic issues and start making headway there, legal issues domestically.
I was about to say, if Trump did, if they would just have more, oh God, you got to go, but more Southern Poverty Law Center, people would even ignore the war. You got to do a minute on that. How huge is that? That we already knew this, that literally the Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL literally run all the white supremacy groups.
Well, but imagine what that means for the Charlottesville hoax, where that was a talking point for years. And then you understand, I mean, some people are going to deny, no, they were just paid informants. They weren't paid agitators. Bull crap, they were paid agitators. But for their involvement, things don't happen the way they happen. And so, but for financing the Michigan Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping, the plot doesn't happen. And so don't give me this bull crap paid informants. They are paid agitators, and but for the involvement, the incidents that they're fighting don't happen to be fought in the first place. So more of that. Not
the entire foundation that Trump's a racist and all the Republicans are Nazis is based on Charlottesville. I got sued by Hillary Clinton's staffer. Didn't even really talk about him when I said in general Southern Poverty Law Center funded it because I caught them funding it. Instead of saying, oh, Southern Poverty Law Center, they sued me about that. Used Georgetown to run it. They dropped it once it went to trial, hundreds of thousands of dollars later. But I mean, literally, I got sued for exposing that, and now it's come out was true. $277,000 to unite the right.
Alex, the thing is, a lot of us knew it, a lot of us believed it, a lot of us felt it, and now you've gotten the proof of it. More of that. I'd say more of that, less of the pettiness, less of the infighting, because, I mean, bottom line, it takes two to infight, and not both players are necessarily equally responsible for the consequences or for the act of infighting. Some people, unfortunately, because of the positions that they're in, have to take the criticism, have to respond to the criticism, but the bottom line, there were domestic issues that invigorated the entire base. You cannot pretend that that was not how the coalition succeeded in winning 2024, and you got to get back to that yesterday to mitigate the damages or attempt to right.
Remember Trump's quote 2 weeks ago, I'm not worried about Medicare, Medicaid, or child care. We're a war economy now. I mean, even if he thinks that, saying that is political suicide. It's like, why is he doing it?
Well, and ratifying it and encouraging it and demonizing the people that righteously criticize that because it's going to be counterproductive come 2026. You're not going to win by browbeating people into silence or browbeating them into submission. You got to invigorate them to show up and vote. And the only silver lining here, though, maybe the white pill, is that there's as much infighting on the left as there is on the right, politically speaking. But the flip side to that is the left has always been far better at mobilizing like the cult that they are and rallying behind the terrible politicians that they have just because that's what you do out of loyalty, blind loyalty. They've always been better at doing that. It's a bad thing, but that's the silver lining. There's fighting on both sides now. There is a way to start mitigating the damage, and it doesn't come from demonizing everybody that you disagree with. It comes from listening to them and maybe reuniting right now with some of the biggest voices in the populist movement.
The Viva Fry on X, the Viva Fry, and at VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. Thanks for the time. God bless you.
Thank you very much. You too.
Oh,
And I'm going to say one more thing in closing on this and come back with the huge tick news that's so key, and then more on the kill switches, AI tracking everything, that hellscape, which is worldwide, not just here. It's all UN standardized. I don't say things that I want to be popular with, but I do analyze how the public and the listeners respond because you're important. I want to get a gauge on, what's happening out there. It's unpopular for me to come out and criticize Trump.
Wow.
But I do it because I need to get him back on track. But that's 20-30% of my audience that got pissed about that. The other 70% absolutely is done and hates his guts. And I see that in other numbers from other talk show hosts who give me a similar number and are pissed that I'm not more anti-Trump. You want me just to abandon him totally and not put pressure on him so then the Democrats run everything? I mean, I'm trying to get what we can get good out of this. I mean, this is, really simple. I'm triaging situations. So that's how my brain works is I can't help it. I have to tell you what I think is the truth. That's how my brain works. And I'm not apologizing to listeners. Most of you love me more than ever. It's just that I really think I'm being as honest and as accurate as I can be. And I know the majority of you get that. And I know you're freaked out too, because I talk to you on air and off air, by just the other white pillars that don't want to question anything and those that think everything's doomed. Well, then everything's doomed. What do? Commit suicide? I'll never do that. All right, I want to go to break with just a short clip that I put together with Do over the weekend of these onion people and sick, horrible things they put out and do they call comedy, but this is what they're really into, interspersed with the Democrat Party lawyer talking about how they're going to help the community with this new message. And they've already said this is the type of programming they're going to try to put on InfoWars to associate with me. And a lot of the experts I talk to, they go, just let them do it. God, this is going to blow up in their face. But I'm like, yeah, but it's not right to surrender when I said I'd never give up. That's why I'm about to file a whole bunch of stuff on them Thursday. So just get ready for that. So here's this quick little report. We're going to come back and into the ticks. This is huge news. Stay with us. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com/show. Only a few days left.
The satirical news site The Onion is launching a new plan to take over right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones' website, InfoWars. The goal? To transform the site that was used to peddle lies into a parody.
Our clowns are soft to the touch. They're soft to the touch. Did you make a mess of our child clowns? Bring them back dirty. We'll hose them off.
I'm gonna have to put them in cages they can't see through. Hey, this is Gabriel. Hey, I made him. He's fresh. Oh, not a good time right now. I'm gonna have to bury him in the back if he keeps acting like this.
There are no rules on international waters. It's a child clown.